Hello, it's 9 p.m. Welcome to our English news edition brought to you live by RTD channel. Here are the top stories. Under the auspices of the Head of State, the conference on the research challenges and the policy in the Horn of Africa was held this morning in Palace Kempinski Hotel. In Syria, this scheme has used 4 times of nerve gas in Khan Sheikhoun. That was the headlines, and now to the national news. A conference of high-level groups in the Department of Education in 5 countries of the East Africa and the Ocean Indian, members of UNESCO, so to speak, the Uganda, the Comores, Somalia, Senegal and the South Sudan began this morning at the Hotel Kempinski under the high patronage of the President of the Republic. And this conference will last 2 days. Mr. Ismail Margilla, the Head of State, accompanied by the First Lady, Ms. Kadra Mahmoud Haid, have been welcomed, as it should be, at their arrival by the Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Nabil Mohammed Ahmed, as well as other members of the government, the parliamentarians of the senior framework and dignitaries, civilians and the country's military diplomat body, accredited in Djibouti, as well as the representative of the international organization based in Djibouti. A welcome approval by the folk dances and the high atmosphere in color. This conference of 3 days therefore concerns the challenge of higher education, the university and young face. This meeting of high level will build impression to the public, including more natural sciences, the scientific research and social, to meet the challenges of the objectives of sustainable development of human security, peace and the network climate of the region involved in the area of research. Throughout this conference will be organized a plenary session based on the various themes with the specialists recognized, practitioners of the development of the region, of the Africa academics, about how the leaders of public opinion as well as the students and the representatives of organization of development for their expertise in the themes of the conference.
Technologically advanced societies are considered as real index of ability of a country.
Why are we here? What is the context? What are the challenges? So I continue as I started in French. We are here to reflect on how higher education can be overhauled and reoriented to serve our national and subnational development needs. As it is, and according to the UNESCO Institute of Statistics 2015 data, access to higher education in sub-Saharan Africa is still at 8% on average, 8%. Let's take note of that. Can we develop Africa with only 8% of our population? And with the exception of Mauritius and Seychelles, the other countries of East Africa and the Indian Ocean are below 10%. With regards to relevance of higher education in the 21st century skills and competencies, the enrollment of students in scientific fields is still very minimal. Even in Mauritius, where we have close to 54% of students enrolled in business, administration-related fields, against 9% in engineering and manufacturing, and only 3% in mathematics and natural sciences. We are also cognizant of the fact that when it comes to building good quality and relevant tertiary education systems, very few of our countries can go it alone, as the costs are prohibitive and the tasks arduous.
Dear policymakers, dear scholars, dear students, UNESCO in particular, and all the United Nations agencies in general will always be your privileged partners to achieve the objectives of sustainable development that we set ourselves in 2013, and this can be achieved with quality education that fosters industry, innovation and infrastructure to better reduce inequality with measures to combat climate change, protecting aquatic and terrestrial life, in which peace and justice are the institutional cement without losing sight of the partnership for achieving our goals. And for all, this higher education and research are undoubtedly one of the driving forces for achieving them.
Equality higher education to put the pillar of an education based on peace and tolerance and to respond to the requirements of a market of employment in perpetual movement. Please listen more details.
Le développement de l'enseignement supérieur et de la recherche.
The development of higher education and research is an essential condition for the economic, social and cultural progress of countries. Indeed, the importance of education and higher education and research in particular at a time when the world lives in the knowledge society and knowledge economy is unanimously recognized. The acute structure of the economy and the rapid technological innovations make higher education and the research a fundamental issue for contemporary society and an essential component of the competitiveness of nations. International UNESCO latest report on science published on November 2015 showed that universities are increasingly international. This internalization accelerates with the digital one, which makes it possible to reach a world by encompassing the borders of the campus thanks to the distance education. This digital revolution is continuing its course and will greatly contribute to reduce inequalities in access to education.
This meeting of high level will build impressions that will include more natural science, the scientific research and social reforms, the challenge of the objective of sustainable development of human security, of peace and of the network segment of the region involved in the area of research. Please listen more details.
Alors, la question fondamentale aujourd'hui reste la suivante.
Then the fundamental question today is, what can university and research centers do to respond to the new challenges of a world full of uncertainty? By 2020, the global economy will have to fill up a deficit of 85 million skilled jobs. In 10 years, 80% of all professions will require scientific and technological skills. Everyone agrees that higher education and research must simply innovate and change the model. Given these facts, some countries are the spearhead in the field of innovation. These are Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, and the city of Shanghai. We have also heard of Senegal and the reform they have carried out. The key to success lies in these key elements: transformations of the learning by doing curriculum, technological innovation and ACT as a support for us in Africa. The essential challenge is not to copy and pass these models, but to inspire by reforms and actions adapted to our environment in order to integrate to higher education and research, investing more in engineering and social values. Djibouti, the institutions of higher education, is young and is able to adapt to new reforms. Indeed, our university will celebrate its 10 years with its 10,000 students.
And now the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, in his speech did not fail to identify ways and means to build a quality higher education to both the Bureau of an education based on peace and tolerance and to respond to the requirement of a market of employment in perpetual movement.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Mesdames et messieurs,
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to be here this morning to launch this conference whose theme on higher education and research are very particular to me because of the impressive advances of science and technology as the engine of development in a globalized and perpetually competitive world. I would like to congratulate the Ministry of Higher Education and UNESCO Regional Director, Ms. Anne-Thérèse Dongjeta, for organizing this conference, which is a first of its kind and which I'm convinced to be able to identify way and means to build an education of quality that is based on peace and tolerance and capable of meeting the demands of an ever-changing labor market. I'm delighted by the reflections of the challenges ahead in East Africa and the Indian Ocean in view of the social, cultural, environmental and economic interdependence that we share. We are witnessing a major shift in our history where several indicators such as growth rate, regional dynamism, our African youth who allow us to be optimistic about our future. All this reassure us about our ability to face the world with great realism and to always move forward. But in order to achieve our objective, we will have to work on the acquisitions of more knowledge with the view to advance research and teaching in line with the requirement of modernization of our economy, but also with the challenges of our time. For this, our university and research centers must move toward an economic. For this, our university and research centers must move toward a socio-economic rationalizations of their role with more openness to the outside world and in-depth reform to meet the needs of the population and businesses while being innovative to be competitive.
et des entreprises tout en étant innovantes.
The President of the Republic, in his second part of his speech, has emphasized how important it is not to miss this new technological revolution and to be an actor in investing in the development in its capable of science, technology, engineering and mathematics known under the acronym of STEAM, core discipline to technologically advanced societies and considered as a real index of ability of a country.
Mesdames et messieurs, chercheurs, professeurs et étudiants,
Professors and students should not forget that we are experiencing unprecedented upheavals since the Industrial Revolution and the Digital Revolution that are disrupting all our capacities for knowledge, and where artificial intelligence will reinvent society, the economy and the science as we know them today. That is why I continue to believe that it is important for us not to miss this new revolution and to be a player in it by investing in the unavoidable development of the known sciences and technology, engineering and mathematics, central disciplines to technologically advanced societies, and consider them as a true indicator of a country's ability to sustain its existence and growth. In Africa, unfortunately, we are still in these sectors which are still below, so we must give the means to remedy them. To that end, we must together strengthen the African hemispheric strategy for education in the 2063 agenda, which respond to the concerns of the African common position to make higher education and research sectors more effective with the primary missions of achieving success, to be prepared for all the challenges ahead, to inform policymakers in their choice to transform society and respond to the needs of the population and environmental problems. As an example, we need to be able to seize the opportunities offered by climate change in order to be more innovative in terms of green energy and blue energy that are still very little exploited by our countries. To achieve this, our universities must be productive and deeply reformed in order to overcome the traditional patterns of knowledge transition and create a citizen capable of using the knowledge acquired at school or university rather than storing them without the capacity of transforming them into values. It is under these conditions that the individual will be able to produce goods and services and will participate in the economy and the effort of the sustainable developments of his country. To do this, the university must work with the private sector, businesses, and establish relations with other universities using new technological means, in particular online courses, hiring teachers capable of sharing this new vision. To succeed, university and research centers will have to work on the basis of a performance contract, quality insurance, promotion based on evaluations of results. We will give them the necessary means to make these new orientations possible. Time is of the essence of making the necessary decisions to make our university and research centers the centerpiece of our development.
Qualité et enjeux futurs ouvertes. Je vous remercie.
The President of the National Assembly, the Honorable Muhammad Ali Hamad, landed in Baku in Azerbaijan this Tuesday morning, accompanied by a large delegation composed of the chairperson of the Group of Friendship Djibouti Azerbaijan, the Honorable Safia Ilmi Jibril, and two members of the same commission, the Honorable Ahmed Hassan Muhammad and the Honorable Abdullahi Bilal Gidar. Upon his arrival at the airport, the delegation was warmly welcomed by the Vice President of the National Assembly of Azerbaijan, which, after an interview with the President Muhammad Ali Hamad, led directly to the delegation of the presidency. During 45 minutes, the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Ilham Aliyev, met with the President of the Parliament of Djibouti and welcomed the bilateral relations that united the two countries' borders. Before any more remarks, the President Hamad has transmitted to the President of Azerbaijan the sense of greeting and the friendship of the hand of our President, His Excellency Ismail Magili. The two men have each expressed in turn their pride to see this cooperation will develop day by day in the areas parliamentarians but also economic. The chairman Hamad has ensured that the Azerbaijan can count on Djibouti and that our country is proud to be its strength door on the African continent, in particular the file of airport and airport. Similarly, President Aliyev welcomed the resolution that the Parliament of Djibouti has voted to condemn the aggression that Azerbaijan has suffered on the part of America. The interview was conducted in the presence of His Excellency Muhammad Ali Kamil, Ambassador of Djibouti resident in Moscow, and the Excellency Elman Abdullajev, the Ambassador of the Azerbaijan resident in Addis Ababa. The two men were commended for the lively efforts that they implemented to strengthen bilateral relations and friendship between our two countries.
So now let us move to the international news. Hamas has unveiled a new political program softening its stance on Israel by accepting the idea of a Palestinian state in territories occupied by Israel in the Six-Day War of 1967. A policy paper released in Doha by Khalid Mishal, the head of the Hamas political office, described the creation of an interim Palestinian state in 1967 lines, the cornerstone of the two-decade-old peace processes supported by Mahmoud Abbas's Palestinian Authority as a formula for national consensus. The new document also states the Islamist movement it is not seeking war with the Jewish people, only with Zionism that drives the occupation of Palestine. It insists that Hamas is not a revolutionary force that seeks to intervene in other countries. Hamas advocates the liberation of all of Palestine, but is ready to support the state on 1967 borders without recognizing Israel or ceding any right, Mishal said. The move comes just 2 days before a White House meeting between Donald Trump and Mahmoud Abbas, whose Fatah movement remains at odds with Hamas. But according to diplomatic sources, the new document has been in preparation for years and has been the subject of intense debate between the various Hamas factions in Gaza, in exile and in prison. Although it does not explicitly supplant the previous charter of the founding fathers, seen by many as a racist, it is being described by those seeking to help Hamas toward a more peaceful path as the contemporary summary of Hamas' belief and aims. Israel's government rejected the shift in rhetoric, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu claiming that Hamas was attempting to fool the world. Daily Hamas leaders called for genocide of all Jews and the destruction of Israel, said David Case, a spokesman for Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister. They dig terror tunnels and have launched thousands upon thousands of missiles at Israeli civilians, he said. Ed Roach, the chair of the House Foreign Relations Committee, said, until Hamas recognizes Israel's right to exist, its wars are meaningless, he said. I will see to it that Hamas remains designated as a terrorist organization as long as it continues to launch rocket attacks against Israeli civilians.
That's it for tonight's edition. Thank you for watching us and have a wonderful evening.